Hey guys, it's time for my Monday Night Raw review from January 18th, 1993. Now, of course, if you remember from the previous review, we had such matches announced as Mr. Perfect against Papa Shango, El Matador Tito Santana against Ric Flair, and in a steel cage match, Woody Allen against Mia Farrow. Guess which one does not happen? Well, actually, two of them don't happen, but guess one actually does not happen. I'll let you figure that out. So anyway, we start in the Manhattan Center. Vince McMahon, Rob Bartlett, and Macho Man Randy Savage, they're at ringside. Rob Bartlett has a picture of Bobby the Brain Heenan, and he starts tearing the picture, and he says, "Fight the real enemy." Obviously making fun of the whole Sinead O'Connor moment on Saturday Night Live about a year or two earlier. And as they're going through the lineup for tonight's show, all of a sudden, from behind, the Repo Man comes and attacks Macho Man just for no reason, and he steals his hat, and he runs into the crowd. And that's how our Monday Night Raw begins. Very interesting. So now we go to our opening match, which is terrific Terry Taylor, and he's still coming out to the Red Rooster theme, against Mr. Perfect. Now, like I said, in the last review, Papa Shango was originally scheduled to face Mr. Perfect. Don't know why, but Terry Taylor comes in to replace Papa Shango. This is a good match. I enjoyed this match. However, this match has its distraction, and what I mean by that is during this match, Bobby Heenan is on the phone and he's talking to Vince McMahon about the hatred with Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair. And Randy's asking him, has he seen, his hat? Have you seen Repo Man? And we get into this whole weird thing. I mean, we really do. Where, and this is going to be the theme throughout the night. Randy Savage is looking for his hat. He wants to find his hat. Rob Bartlett is asking about his rental car. Has anybody seen his rental car? Yeah. So, anyway, let's get towards the end of this match. Mr. Perfect gets dumped on the outside by Terry Taylor. Ric Flair, who is already outside of the ring, he starts chopping at Perfect, attacking Perfect, giving him kicks and punches, throws him back into the ring. Taylor grabs Perfect, is about to set him up for a suplex, but Mr. Perfect reverses it all of a sudden, hits the Perfect Plex, 1, 2, 3, Perfect wins the match. He immediately rolls out of the ring and looks for Ric Flair. This, like I said, this was a good match. The only problem that I had was that whole phone call sort of took away from the attention of this match, which really, it really should have been praised a whole lot more than I'm giving it, but it really should have been given more attention. Unfortunately, it did not. So after we get our promotional consideration from Lord Alfred Hayes, it's interview time, and Vince is in the ring with Bret Hart, and Bret Hart talks about how Razor has made this a personal affair. He said that if you come after me, that's fine, I could take your best shot, but if you go after my family, that's a whole different story. He talks about going after Owen, and he mentions how, Razor picking on his father, and how Stu Hart's going to be turning 78 years old in 1993, and that Razor is at the bottom of the barrel. He's the lowest level of scum. In fact, he's even lower than that. You'd have to lift the barrel to find him. And then Vince asks him about, is this going to be a technical scientific match, or is this going to be a brawl? And Bret says that, I have this belt because I am, the excellence of execution, but at this match, I'm throwing the rule books out, and I'm going after him, I'm punching him, I'm kicking him, I'm going to beat him down. And that's basically the promo. So after that, we get a promo from Paul Bearer and The Undertaker about the headlock on Hunger, which made me feel very uncomfortable. I mean, I understand the whole promotion, but it's like, you're doing this with a character whose gimmick is he takes the dead. I'm just saying. Just saying. So we come back and we're still on the air, but our next match is Marty Jannetty. He is in one-on-one action. He goes up against Glenn Ruth. And during this match, we get another phone call. This time, it's from Shawn Michaels, the Intercontinental Champion. And he says how, the Rockers were successful because he was a part of the team. The Rockers were successful because he was the one leading the team. And he knows what goes inside the head of Marty Jannetty. And that he could do anything at any moment with Marty Jannetty. And he goes into this how, he gets asked how, what Sherry is going to be in his corner, in Jannetty's corner, and he says that she's a dime a dozen, they're all the same, and that's basically that. This is a jobber match. Jannetty gets the win with a rocker dropper, 1, 2, 3. So we come back and we get an interview with Sean Mooney outside of the Manhattan Center. He's with the Repo Man. Repo Man has his hat. Savage is standing up. He's upset. Repo Man's cutting a promo, and Savage wants a piece of I'm sorry, folks. He wants a piece of Repo Man, and Savage leaves the broadcast area to go after Repo Man, which leads us into the Royal Rumble report. Brief breakdown of that. We only get one promo in this segment from Razor Ramon. Razor saying how this is now a personal affair. And after this Sunday, he's going to have gold around his neck, gold on his hands, and gold on his fingers. And Mean Gene also mentions a couple other matches that are going to take place. Then we go into, real quick, and I think I actually accidentally forgot this, which I really didn't mean to, what happened on Superstars over the weekend, where Doink the Clown knocked Crush out with his arm, and Crush is now out of the Royal Rumble because of that. So now we go to our featured match here, El Matador, Tito Santana, against Ric Flair. This is a good match. The crowd is actually split in this match. There are people chanting Tito, 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 and there are other people going, let's go Flair, And this is a good match. This was a fun match to watch. Tito gets most of the offense in. Flair, for some reason, is trying to talk to Randy Savage, but it does nothing. And then we get the end of the match. Santana hits Flair with a flying forearm. And instead of covering Flair, he waits for Flair to get back up, tries for the flying forearm again. Flair ducks out of the way. Santana goes over the top and onto the floor. Meanwhile, Mr. Perfect comes running out from the locker room, pulls Flair out of the ring by his leg. They start fighting each other, and here come referees, officials, trying to break this up. Eventually, this match would be ruled a no contest, but that's sort of not really the point, as Flair and Perfect are fighting each other. They fight all the way to the back. So we take a brief commercial. We come back. Vince is not at the broadcast area. He's standing at ringside waiting. Flair and Perfect are back out in the arena. They're fighting, and they finally get broken up. Flair comes to Vince, and he cuts a promo saying the WWF is not big enough for the two of us. I want a match with you next week, and the loser of this match has to leave. I don't mean the loser has to leave the building. I mean the loser has to leave the WWF. And Vince gets very surprised because it's like, you're risking your whole career for, to beat this one guy, which is a good point. And then after Flair leaves, Mr. Perfect comes out, and, he tells Perfect what Flair had said, and Mr. Perfect accepts the challenge for this match on the next episode of Monday Night Raw. Whew. So, the next Raw we will see Ric Flair against Mr. Perfect. Loser leaves WWF, and also Macho Man Randy Savage will take on the Repo Man. But before the show ends, we're back outside the Manhattan Center. There's the Repo Man. He's got Savage's hat, and he's got Rob Bartlett's car towed. Yes, and they're towing Rob Bartlett's car away, and he's wearing Macho Man's hat. And that is the end of this episode of Raw. Well, I gotta say, this was a better episode, I thought, than the first one. Better matches here on this episode, especially that main event. That was a very good main event. Taylor and Perfect was a good match. Unfortunately, the whole telephone call really just ruined it, which otherwise would have been a really good match. Good interview segment with Brett. You got a jobber match, which was there. But all in all, you got a really good hour of Raw out of this with two very good matches. And it sets up not only the Royal Rumble, but it also sets up the next episode of Raw, which is a big one because either Ric Flair or Mr. Perfect they're going to leave the WWF after this match. So, good episode of Raw here this week, and if you are new to this is my second video. What I have decided is, while I'm reviewing these Monday Night Raws, I'm also going to review the pay-per-views. So the next review in this series will be the 1993 Royal Rumble, and then after that review will be the next episode of Monday Night Raw with Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair. One of them leaves the WWF.